What is the reason
I
for
think
that?
people, listen, I open the radio, I hear non-stop about Sudan. I hear non-stop about Tibet. I hear non-stop about Darfur. I hear a lot. The only place I hear excuses made for is Israel. That's the place where I hear excuses. And we do have to remember, it is the oldest occupation in the world. I mean, 40 years really is enough. It's older than you. It's older than you, the occupation. Doesn't that kind of stun you? What will happen to Israel if they get rid of these American Jews who are warmongers from Martha's Vineyard? And they're warmongers from the Hamptons. And they're warmongers from Beverly Hills. And they're warmongers from Miami. It's been a disaster for Israel. You know, it's the best thing if they can ever get rid of this American Jewry. It's a curse.
Here on the show, we've been bringing you the latest on the rising Islamophobia, which seems to be plaguing the U.S. The stories of hate crimes continue to pile up. But today, we've got a different twist on this story for you. And it comes from the perspective of some Jewish Americans. As RT correspondent Lauren Lister reports, this community is extremely fearful of a Muslim attack, but other Americans wonder if this group is the one that the people should fear.
Fire, fire, fire. That's the translation from Hebrew to English of a military exercise translated from the Jewish state of Israel to American soil. But these men aren't preparing for combat. They are civilians.
My name is Aaron.
My name is Eldad.
My name is Scott Brown.
Jewish Americans, a few who served in their training here in the woods with semi-automatic weapons.
This is a civilian version of the U.S. military's M16 assault rifle.
This is the Israeli-made Uzi.
And knives.
This was captured by the Israeli military in Lebanon.
Learning and practicing martial arts and first aid because of a core belief.
Terrorism is directed against the Jewish people all across the world. We know we are a target. If you just look at history, look at recent events.
So they see a need to defend themselves.
There are many threats. A high-profile one as of late would be Islamic extremism.
I'm scared. I'm scared for myself when I go to work, but I'm scared even more for my family when I'm not home to protect them.
And in the United States, where there is a right to bear arms, they say,
we need to express those rights. We need to own weapons. We need to protect ourselves.
It's a view they're trying to spread through camps like the one pictured here, for people to bring home to their Jewish communities, whether it's a tiny Orthodox enclave like the one on the road in,
or in a big city like New York, which members believe is more likely to be the target of a militant attack. But critics believe it's a group like this and their mission that actually poses a threat.
Once people are ready for action, somehow action finds them.
Danny Schechter is an analyst and a Jewish American himself.
I grew up with what you would call the Holocaust narrative, and it often distorts your thinking, because then you begin to feel everybody's against you, everybody hates you, and as a result, you act in ways that often are against your own interest.
And despite everything, Kitat Konunut may not be.
It's not an extremist group. It's not a militia. It's nothing like that. We're not here preaching any type of politics or anything like that.
When a fear of Muslims,
I'm just scared of the community as a whole,
drives you to your guns, where does this lead?
Usually comes in and starts screaming something. Allah Akbar, whatever they scream.
You begin to see all Muslims as Osama bin Laden. And as a result, you act accordingly, and mostly it's not true.
When a crime,
the El Al counter in Los Angeles in 2002,
drives you to the forest to defend a belief,
the Jewish people has always been a target.
Are you protecting yourself from a threat?
This is combat position. This is the kind of shooting you do in terms of counterterrorism.
Terrorism can be stopped, but it can only be stopped with our vigilance.
or are you creating one?
In the end, I think it really doesn't contribute to security. It makes people more insecure.
Lauren Lister, RT, New York.
We're here today because a lot more people have had enough. More than 10,000 people, members of our community, signed a petition calling for Mr. Beck's termination from Fox News and News Corp. Those 10,000 people and thousands more believe that Mr. Beck has gone too far, and today we are planning to highlight 10 of Mr. Beck's worst moments from 2010 and then deliver a pink slip for Mr. Beck to his employers here at News Corporation.
Of the Hollywood that makes violence?
I think that I'm angry with some of the Jews. I'm very goddamn angry at some of the Jews. Hollywood is run by Jews. It's owned by Jews. And they should have a greater sensitivity about the issue of people who are suffering.
The 500 hours of tapes released today showing what one historian calls Nixon's own dark view of how the world works, where the enemy is not just the communists, it's also the media. Listening in agreement is the Reverend Billy Graham.
This stranglehold has got to be broken or this country is going to go down the drain. Yes, sir.
Okay, so tell me that is better side of Hollywood. That don't hurt.
Better side of Hollywood?
Yep.
There is no better side of Hollywood. You have to be Jewish to be in Hollywood.
You mean as a producer?
At any level, yeah. Any level.
So you see that there is a racial discrimination in Hollywood?
Oh yes, all the time.
So so tell me what problem did you face as an Indian producer?
As an Indian producer, you can make a movie, but then again, who's going to buy it? The Hollywood big studios, all controlled by Jews. They don't want to let others get in, Exceptions, there are exceptions. Ashok is very successful.
But can you tell about some specific experience, like in a movie?
No, I'll tell you about his film.
Okay.
He's also a producer. He made a movie.
Oh.
Remember, he changed the name as producer. He put a Jewish name, and he sold the film. He made the movie. Imaginary Jewish name. Dala usme film mein, it's sold. So that's how it is.
Monopoly of Jewish people.
Jewish people. All over the world.
So
all over America.
Even the distributors are all Jewish?
Oh yes.
Jewish love Hindus,
distributors Jewish हैं, उसके अलावा चोर भी हैं. I mean, they screwed me up big time.
Can we do this interview in Hebrew?
Yeah, sure.
בלי טעויות.
כן, לא, עם טעויות אבל.
I'm Jewish, yes, and my mother is like Ashkenazi Jew. We have Shabbat and Hanukkah and Passover.
I heard you can speak Yiddish.
My grandmother can speak Yiddish, but I only know some phrases from her. But no, I wish I could speak Yiddish.
You're a große Metzia.
What is that? Just a terrible.
Ask Woody Allen. It's a compliment.
Oh well, thank you.
The power of bankers to absorb more and more money out of the system for themselves is enormous. It's like an oil spill. So I don't know that this thing is ever going to be fixed. But it's interesting to meet with all these billionaires and millionaires, and I met quite a few of them. The truth lies in Wall Street. It's where the money is, and if you follow the money on Wall Street, you'll follow around the world. You'll see how the world works. The shame is, of course, that the banks have so much power. It's the same thing with American Pentagon or this American Walmart. It's all this supersizing of this concentration of wealth in these companies, in these banks, is a disaster for the world economy. The reforms that have been proposed by Washington, especially the Volcker rule, make perfect sense. That you got to divorce banks from making money for themselves. They got to go back to their old
White House
function.
reporter Helen Thomas is not backing down from the anti-Semitic remarks that got her fired from that job. In an interview with Playboy magazine, no, she's not the centerfold, Thomas says, quote, Jews control the White House. Thomas denies claims that she's anti-Jewish, saying, quote, I think they're wonderful people. I'm not anti-Jewish, I'm anti-Semitic.
But today the Jews rule this world by proxy. They get others to fight and die for them. They invented socialism, communism,
human rights and democracy so that persecuting them would appear to be wrong, so they may enjoy equal rights with others. With these, they have now gained control of the most powerful countries, and they, this tiny community, have become a world power.